Let's go.
Welcome to today's show. I'm thrilled to have an incredible guest, Marquise Trent, an empowerment speaker with a passion for change and liberty. Born in a challenging environment, he is dedicated to assisting others in a world of turmoil and chaos. As a published author of Overstanding, a comprehensive look at gangster rap, its subgenres, and their effect on our generations, and Planned Maturity for Teens, the book adults wish they had when they were your age, Marquise extends his influence through impactful nonfiction works. He also serves as a book writing coach and publisher, helping other leaders and change agents share their stories. A veteran of the armed forces and a bachelor's degree holder, Marquise draws from his diverse life experiences, including his past as a former justice-involved individual, to deliver unforgettable and engaging encounters for his audiences. In this episode, we'll highlight the practical advice and heartfelt insights Marquise offers in his book, making it a valuable resource for teenagers navigating the complexities of adolescence. Listeners and viewers here and at home, please welcome our host, DrWhitty. All right. Welcome to DrWhitty today. I'm so excited to have our guest with us, Marquise Trent. I'm just going to start off saying, how are you doing?
Man, fantastic, man. I appreciate you. DrWhitty. How you doing, man?
Good. I cannot complain. I'm blessed. As we like to say in church, we say we blessed and highly favored, right? So
Absolutely.
I'm blessed and highly favored. So I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad for you accepting the invitation, and I'm also glad for every listener and viewer that's out there. And I'm just looking forward to getting into this conversation about planned maturity. How about you?
Man, I'm blessed and highly favored truly as well. You know, many things become cliche, but sometimes you really have to let those cliche statements really resonate because it's true many times.
All right. What's the good book says? The power of death and life are in our tongue, right?
Man, that's a real statement. And I talk about those types of things in the book, Planned Maturity. So I'm excited, man. Thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be able to come and just add value to your audience. Thank you.
Yes. This has been a long time coming. And like I said, when we had our pre-talk, I just remember you from a while back, and I said, I'm going to have to get him on the show, not just to talk about this book, but you have other books, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. So yes. I hope that you won't make this the last time that you be on the DrWhitty Today show. I tell you, tell me a little bit about that background I see.
Oh, man, yeah. So this background, man, it's just a part of the journey, a part of the testimony, as you say, highly favored. I'm from Richmond, Virginia right now. Me and the family, we're in Texas. I finally started openly telling people I'm very secretive. Some stuff God shared with me years ago. But I am in the DFW. But I'm from Richmond, Virginia. And in this picture behind me, simply put, God opened the door for me to get a longer segment on the news by God's grace. And being a published author, like I tell experts, I had been interviewed on the news several times before this one. But this actually was like where I was one of the main segments being highlighted, where they even showed the book and talked about the book and everything. So this is a news interview in Richmond, Virginia.
That's great. Richmond, Virginia, that's about 25 minutes away from me.
Yeah, that's home, man.
Richmond, Virginia. I just had my two kids just checked into VCU this past weekend. So looking forward to that excitement, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So the way it works here, we're going to do some talking about your book. I've got some talking points I'm going to cover, and we just want you to talk about your book. So we're going to get started.
No problem.
So first tell us, can you describe your inspiration behind the book?
Yeah, man, the inspiration behind the book, people always say, man, if you can go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you say? What would you tell your younger self? So that was one of the aspects. And also, I'm at a point in my life, and I have been for over a decade, where I've always personally been a student of life. I like to learn life. That was one of my statements back in the day, like learn life. Like you bump your head once, cool. You bump your head twice, all right. Now you bump your head 3 and 4 times. What exactly are you doing? So when it came to plan maturity, I actually sat on the idea for several years. I had it in my mind for quite some time, but I was just really waiting for that opportune time. But one of the main things, as I said, was if there was a book that would tell me the things that I wish I knew when I was a teenager, like the self-power, the self-image, subconscious mind. I didn't learn those things till I was well into adulthood. So imagine a child, a teenager, learning about what the subconscious mind is, learning about self-image, learning about self-worth, learning about these valuable things, these intangible concepts, and what it could do for their life. And I have children. I'm a husband. I'm a father, so I have children. So I always pour into my children. So I'm like, man, I want to be able to impact other children and other teenagers. Let me put it into a book.
Great stuff. Great stuff. As you were talking, I was just thinking about what this book would have done for me as a teenager, growing up, experiencing a lot of the things that you talk about in your book, but didn't have the words to really understand what was going on at the time. So I think that this is obviously an awesome book. And I think I mentioned to you before that when I read this book, at the time, I wanted to sort of use this book as an inspiration to talk about, to just bring up discussion, even with a relative of mine that I had taken in. And I thought it was a good book, and it would be a good book to talk about some of the things that he was facing and the different challenges that he faced. And so, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get around to that. But I'm hoping that, maybe he might be out there, he might be watching, and he can get some of the nuggets in the book and then, try to make some better decisions. So I think this is a great book for any and every teenager that's out there, because you will find yourself in this book. And I would even dare say adults will find themselves in this book. This book will speak to the teenager in them that still surfaces while they're adults. So
man, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
And before we go to the next talking point, I just want to say, folks, if you have a chance to, if you see that shirt he has on, Think Different, that's an awesome shirt. I actually have one, and I'm going to tell you that's a great shirt. So when he gives you the information later on, I hope you guys reach out and support my brother and get a book and the shirt. All right, so we talked about the inspiration. It kind of goes along with how, when you thought about the book, when did you figure out the title was going to be Plan Maturity? How did that come about?
So Plan Maturity, man, I got to shout out my wife, my beautiful wife. The name is not new. We've had the name in our world for several years. One thing that I learned is God's timing. But we'll touch on that as we move forward. But we had the name years ago. My wife and I were talking about something like, let's come up with, something entrepreneurial. I have a brand, I have different things. And I'm like, babe, let's come up with such and such and such and such. And she came back a little later. She was like, babe, Plan Maturity. And I was like, oh, that's dope, babe. Like, that's really fire, And then I just kind of took it and ran with it. So ultimately, Plan Maturity is the brand. It's actually a brand. That's the umbrella, but it's ultimately a personal and community development firm. So we are building it out. It will, the ultimate vision of it will be, digital community where people can come and learn things like finance, learn things like health and wellness, learn about, as the book shows you, ways to empower yourself. So Plan Maturity, the motto and tagline of Plan Maturity is to bring a message of maturity to millennials and their minors in an effort to create the perfect citizen. So that's the overall tagline of Plan Maturity. So shout out to my baby. She came up with the name, and together we about to build something amazing.
Amazing concept. I love it. So as you came up with the title, now talk about some of the challenges that you faced in writing this book.
So some of the challenges, to be honest, one of the major or main challenges for me really was only that I couldn't talk about God extensively. And here's why I say that. For those that may not know, I'm a born-again Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, filled with the Holy Ghost and all that. For those that know, I did come up religious in the Baptist church back in the day, but after truly living and experiencing who to me is my creator, there's no other way for me to go for myself personally. Like, I ran the streets, I got into the drugs, the guns, the violence, and all of those things. So once I found that this God is real and this is my purpose, I gave my life fully to that purpose. And that part is important, because the trouble that I found was I couldn't really talk about God like that. And why? Is because I strategically wrote this book to get into the school system. I'm gonna just be straight up. So for those, as Dr. Whitty said earlier, I am self-published author, but I'm also a self-publishing book coach. So I help professionals write and publish books. So I wrote the book strategically so that I could get it into schools. And unfortunately, due to the separation of church and state, if the book is Jesus, Jesus, forgive, repent, Jesus, God throughout, they ain't gonna touch it with a 20-foot pole. So my intentions on writing this book was to add as much value to the teenager's life that I could without truly digging deeply into my faith. So that was the most difficult part for me. And then honestly, I was taking my time to write it on a third grade level. You know what I'm saying? No shout out to nobody, no disrespect to nobody. We all have different comprehension levels. We all have different reading skills. By God's grace, I am well read. I can read. I do understand complex concepts, but I can't talk that talk to 15-year-old, 16, up to 21 or 22. Like you said, I have had young adults read it and be greatly impacted. I've even had adults order it for themselves. Some people don't really have that level of extensive comprehension. So I wasn't in this to try to go over their head and be all extra deep. So I wanted to convey complex concepts in a way that's easily understood, even by a 10-year-old. So honestly, those will be my two most difficult things. Not talking about God the way I wanted to, because God is truly the impactful change that we need, especially at a young person's life. And then kind of being able to go deep in stuff. Those will be my two troubles.
Great. Those are great. Those are significant challenges. And I can relate to both of those challenges. And as you said, you got to be strategic. I like to use the term strategic when you're trying to reach and impact audiences, because you do have to make sure that you're not pushing people away while you're also trying to draw them in. And unfortunately, like you said, the way things are worked out as far as church and state, and just all the different, laws and new policies and things like that are being created, it makes it more difficult for us to be as creative as we would like to be. But, we have to do a great job at it. I like the principle that one of my favorite authors used. He says use the KISS principle, and that just means keep it simple, stupid. And that just means that, remember, it doesn't matter what or what level you're on. You got to make your message able to be caught by the most simple person, even if that person is a two-year-old. Whatever you're trying to talk about, they understand to some degree that they can extract that value from your message. So you did a great job.
Awesome.
All right. Now, the next thing I want to ask you is, you talk about a lot of different things in your book. You use real world experiences. I want to know, what type of research did you have to do to put this book together. What kind of research and was it a lot of research or was it not so much?
No, not so much in this one. I got the book beside me, and as I turn to the back again, as you stated, I did after my time in the military, I did go ahead and use my benefits to go to college and get a bachelor's degree. So I do understand, the importance of writing properly. So as you show Overstanding a Comprehensive Look at Gangster Rap, the back of it is filled with footnotes. So I'm researching and putting footnotes for those that want to challenge things. Plan Maturity doesn't have any footnotes. It has maybe one or two where when I was talking about the human body and the cool things about the body, I just referenced like one place where I got the facts from about how fast you sneeze and how many bones and all of that. But everything else is truly life learned experiences, things that, the knowledge is general enough to not really have to pull in a source, but still gives the value that's necessary, like the subconscious mind, things of that nature. Somebody might be like, well, what's the subconscious mind? I didn't go pull out a resource for that one. Again, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So to answer your question, there really wasn't any real research necessary. It was really just me organizing my thoughts. And because, again, I've been learning about human transformation in some capacity for over 10 years at this point. So I have, by God's grace, obtained knowledge in certain concepts and things of that nature.
Great, great. As a aspiring author myself, and I say that, and I laugh, but I say that because I remember when I first came across you, and I used to watch some of your I'm not sure if they were, I don't remember if they were discussions, or I think they were events that you were having, but I remember I used to watch them, and they would always come on during the time that I was Lyft driving. And so I couldn't comment, but I would listen. So shout out to those people that were in the back that allowed me to listen and didn't complain. But it was educational, it was beneficial. And then I also I did something where you were talking about the process of writing the book. And so I still have that stuff on my computer that I plan to use. But as an aspiring author myself, what can you share about your writing process? Like as far as rituals or routines or things that you do to make sure that you stay focused?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you even sharing that, all of that transparency in general. But that's good. And for those that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, he just dropped a nugget. Even when you think people are not watching, they're watching. So consistency, that's one of the keys to success without question. Staying consistent, fighting through those limiting beliefs. But when it comes to writing, of course, as a coach, I suggest you get a coach. I mean, my first book took me 4 years because I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a guide. I didn't have a structure. I didn't have anything. I was pulling and, oh man, it was a mess, but it ended up being a blessing. One, get clear. Like, I talked to many people that say, oh, I want to write a book about this, and I want to write a book about this, and I want to write a book about this, and this. And that's not wrong. You should express your creativeness to your heart's desire. But if you're a professional and you want to do business and you want to take your business and your brand seriously, I encourage people to pick one book, one title. Pick one topic that you know well. All right. Like, perfect example, bless God, Plan Maturity. I spit that out. I think I took about a year because I didn't really have any solid deadlines. I could have done it quicker. I can teach people to do it quicker. But if you have a brand, pick a book that is on brand. All right. If you have a brand, you have a business, you should have a customer avatar. That is your ideal client. The demographics, that's sex and race and age. Then the psychographics. Psychographics are vitally important. Psycho, where you get the word mind, psychology, psychologist. Psycho is the mind. So What is the thinking process and the thought process of your target audience? Because if you black, a business owner can be black, can be Indian, could be white, could be Russian, could be German, could be Jamaican. It doesn't matter what race they are. That's their demographics. But their psychographics are they're driven, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs. So they think about different things than the working class individual. So once you develop, all right, this is my brand, this is what I do, all right, this is the value I bring to the marketplace, all right, boom. Now, this is my psychographic. I'm talking to John. John is a 35-year-old male who's a business owner. He does have a wife. He has 2 children, and he's building a business while he's working full time. This is what he desires. This is the amount of money he wants to make. These are the pain points he has. Boom. Why is that important? Because you ain't writing this book for you. You're writing this book for the reader. All right. And as I tell people, the book is not the end all be all. The book is an asset. The book is a platform and a stepping stone. The book maximizes your brand value. All right. But when it comes to your brand, hopefully you have a consulting service to offer. You have a coaching service to offer. You have a speaking service to offer. You have some type of continuity offers that you offer outside of the book. So the end all be all ain't the book. When I go to the schools, I say, great, I got a book. Great, spend 5 figures with me and get the book. However, let me come in quarterly over a year. Let's talk some real money. Let me come in quarterly over the course of a school year. That's like 3 times, and do a in-person. And I can charge them, let's say $7,500 a piece. All right. So let's say the book netted me $50,000, 20 into 50,000, 25, whatever. Boom. 2,500 books, 50 grand in book sales, but also 7,500 in 3 sections. What's that? 21,000, 25. So that's like 22. So 72 grand from one school. Why? Because you're an author. Because when you're an author, you're telling people, I know what I'm talking about. Simple and plain. Trust me. That's what authorship says to the people. So establish your brand. Get clear. Stop trying to do this and this and this and this. Focus in on what it is you do. Focus in on who it is you're talking to. Now you know what you're telling them about. You have clarity. From there, you can begin to write the book. All right. What are some of the main benefits that you want them to walk away with? All right. List those benefits out. All right. Now, what can you tell them in each benefit? What type of information can you share with them in each of those benefits? How can you tie real life experiences for yourself and or your clients that you have served, even if it was freebies? How can you tie real life experiences and stories to each of these benefits for your reader? And from there, I do use my own signature framework. Once you get the manuscript fleshed out, you go to the actual publishing process. Always make sure you have a beautiful cover. As you can see, high quality artwork, glossy finish, ISBN number, beautiful quality imagery, logos. This is your blurb. So present a quality product to the marketplace. Don't tell people you're an author and you come in there with a pamphlet. I always tell people that respectfully. Don't come in there with 35, 40 pages, 50 pages talking about you're an author. Now, the book U Squared, the great book that a lot of entrepreneurs write about, that is kind of like a pamphlet, but extremely valuable. But generally speaking, you want the respect is truly given, honestly, from what I've experienced, to a quality book, 150, 130, 25, 40, 60, 80 pages, maybe 200. And now somebody will look you in your eye, show you the utmost respect, and then begin to offer you opportunities to grow your brand.
Wow, that was great information. And I'm just thinking, as you said, that you gave that number of 150 pages. That is generally the expectation for the number of pages for a dissertation. It doesn't mean you have to stop there,
Wow.
but at least 150 pages before you can even expect that somebody's going to say, okay, it's enough in here. Because there's a lot of things to flesh out. There's a lot of information to gather, and then you have to, make it all make sense. You have to make it all flow just like you do for a book. And so I thought that was interesting that you said that, because that 150 is like the start. That's like the least that a share expects you to have before you even think about that you're even close to finishing.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting. The other thing, thank you for sharing that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead and finish. But I wanted to speak to that part that you said.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you for mentioning that psychographics, because I had never heard that term until now. It does make sense, and I probably heard it in other ways, in other terms, but when you talked about it, I just thought, wow, psychographics. Okay, I get that. So that's another thing to make sure that as you're thinking about your topic, that it's like saying you got to think about what the other person is thinking about and how they think, so that you'll know how to get that message across. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Exactly.
All right,
well, to go back, and I'm going to speak to that briefly also, but to go back, I'm glad that you shared that, because one, I didn't know a dissertation, that's crazy, 150 pages. But to me, I can respect that and appreciate it, because it's like you earn the title of doctorate. You earn the title of doctor. So you go and write, you go and do all the study, all of this, all of that, and then you get the title of doctorate, because the final test is your dissertation. So I can really appreciate that. So the same goes for author. If you're you're a person of integrity, you're stepping out to the marketplace, you desire to serve, you desire to create impact. I might not have doctor in front of my name. I mean, in front of my name, but this is my, you know what I'm saying? This is my 3 letters or 2 letters. No disrespect. I ain't even trying, but you understand what I'm saying. I've seen firsthand where people say, man, and then being a young black brother, I got the 2-strand twist and the tattoos. It's so funny and fulfilling, keeping it real, when I see other races, the white people or the Asian people or the Arabics or the Indians or the Chinese. I ain't knocking on them. I'm not a racist. I love God. I love his people. But the reality of racial tensions and situations in America, they look at me like some old, but once I say, hey, these are my books, you should see the way that they look then. It's amazing. They're like, oh, I'm proud of you. Oh my God, you're so interesting. Oh my God, you're prolific. All of these things. And I don't let it stroke my ego, but I'm just grateful, because y'all have, those that are listening, y'all have greatness within y'all that needs to come out in a way that can demand a certain level of respect by your accomplishments. But I don't want to jump the gun. And the second thing you said, I forgot exactly. You had talked about the psychographics. So I'll digress from there. But oh no, that was it. When you write in the book, you hit it on the head. A lot of times there's a saying, so to speak, in the business and transformation, where when it comes to creating a product or service, you're serving your old self, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Where you write a book for the old you, or you write a book for a person that you were, or you create a product for a person that you were, or you create a product for what you want to see. So when I'm writing Plan Maturity, I'm knocking on the door of 40. Although I look good, bless God, y'all know black don't crack. You know what I'm saying? Although I'm close to 40 at this time, I had to kind of take my mind all the way back and think about it. This generation of 12, 13, 14-year-olds, you know what I'm saying? And communicate to them something that they would find valuable enough. Like in the book Plan Maturity, I'm having it's like literal a conversation. So as I'm writing it, I'm carefully writing, let me say this. No, they might think that's whack. Let me say this. They might think that's lame. I was very strategic when I was writing it, because the whole time I'm acting as if a teenager is sitting in front of me and I'm having a conversation with them. that was my goal and aim when writing that book specifically. So people should do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say a lot of times that's what I do when I'm planning a speech or I'm planning a class or whatever. When I find myself putting things together, I may go to someone and say, hey, this is what I'm talking about. What is it that you would want to hear about this particular subject? I'll use this as an example. I was asked to talk to a group of justice involved individuals, and we say adults in custody.
I like that. I like that.
So I was asked to speak to a group of them, and I thought, well, I really want to say something impactful, but I wanted it to be something relatable. And so what I did was I reached out to people who were actually they were justice involved in their past and was doing great things now, like running businesses or just being speakers and authors such as yourself. And so what I did was I went to them and I said, if I were coming to speak to you and you were still in prison or in jail, what would you want to hear me talk about? What would be the most impactful thing I could say to you? And so then I built my talk around what those people talked about. And so it went over really well, because after all, you got to know how to speak to somebody that's not, you can't go in there and say, well, you're going to be home tomorrow. No, they may not go home. So you have to be real strategic, and you have to be purposeful and make sure that you craft your message and that it's real to those people and not going with a lot of fluff. So I imagine that you have to do the same thing when you're writing the book.
Without question.
It's all about that buy-in, right? And so I like to say people won't buy into what you're offering if they haven't bought into you. That's what I talk to leaders about all the time is, you could be the greatest leader, but if people don't buy into you, they're not going to buy into your leadership, right? And so it's the same thing if you want to sell a product. So thank you for all of that insight.
Awesome.
Now,
awesome.
I know that you shared a lot of life lessons and real world situations. I want to know was there any part of the book that was imagination?
No, there wasn't any imagination, man. Some stuff I wanted to go into deeper, but I was
I know you had to use your imagination as you created the book, but I just mean in terms of it was something about the book that maybe you embellished something, or that it was just a point to use to make a point. That's what I mean.
So let me ask you this. Do you have any pages in particular? Anything in particular?
Do I have any what?
Anything in particular that stood out?
Man, so much stood out. I'm the type of person that
that you thought might have been imagined. Because to me, I didn't have to imagine anything. I know what it's like to, get girls, but still not. I still had a high level of confidence. Like, okay, a case in point. Currently, I have what they call crowded. My teeth are crooked. My teeth been crooked since I was a teenager. Since I was a child. But I still got girls. You know what I'm saying? All through middle school, all through high school, college, army, and I'm married for over 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So not just one girl. I ain't no ugly duckling. So even in such a I said that in the book, though. You know what I'm saying? So I was being openly honest with them. Like, I'm not lying. You can go on YouTube and go find, you'll see, oh, he got a teeth. You can laugh, but I pull your mama or something crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. But jail, I have been incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? I have been in drug infested areas. I have used drugs. I have drank alcohol. I was promiscuous. Like all of these things I wrote about in the book. I learned about self-worth, and I learned about the self-image. So from everything that I could think of offhand, there wasn't anything that had to be imagined, so that was what I wanted to cover. So I was wondering if you saw something you read, like, oh no, I'm gonna have to ask bro about this. I can't think of anything. Of course, I don't have every single page memorized, but I can't think of anything that was, embellished a little bit.
All right, no, I was gonna tell you, I'm the type of person that if I could, you probably can't see it, but I mean the book is right here, and I've written in it, and I put LOL where you were explaining certain things, and also as you talked about the crowding and things like that, I wrote right next to your statement, I can relate, LOL, because there was a time, and I think that had a lot to do with looking back. I think for some reason when I was, in it, I didn't really feel like it messed with me very much or my self-esteem. But then looking at it, I think, well, maybe it did just a little bit, because I remember actually growing up and I didn't even realize. And when I say bad, I really mean this. This is no embellishment. If you could, probably verify it with some of my friends, but I had no idea the state of my teeth when I was young, and I didn't know it. I didn't notice it until I went to a different school in a whole different area, and people just pointed it out every single day.
All the time.
They laughed about it. It got to a point where it became the subject if someone wanted to, hurt my feelings or bother me or whatever. A long time ago, how you would sit around in groups and you would just joke and joke and joke. And so my teeth would be the area somebody would go to if they felt like, oh, you got me, and now I'm gonna get you, and it would go personal. And so I could relate to what you was talking about, because my teeth were, I think they were bucked in the front, and they were, I used to bite my lips, and my bottom teeth were actually in a V shape, like they were literally in a V shape. And if I had my little mold, that I did not know how bad it was until I had decided that I was going to go get braces, and they did that mold. And when the dentist showed me that mold, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And so that was a big eye opener for me. So when you talked about that, I was like, wow, I can relate. So it's a lot of things that you talk about in your book.
Thank you. If I can stop there, man, thank you. But for real though, thank you for sharing. This is my point. Thank you for sharing that, because I know how personal that is. I've lived with it also. So back then, there were levels of self-consciousness, but I never let it put me in chains. You know what I'm saying? I never let it put me in chains. Of course, there was a level of self-consciousness. They laughing out for you, mama. Of course, there was a level of self-consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Going to talk to girls. Like I said, I used to holler at girls. I used to talk to girls. So, there will be times I'm like, I might approach her or whatever, but it's like, man, she's going to look at my teeth. She's going to be woo, woo, woo. High school, somebody might say something here and there, but like, I couldn't hide it. So it's like, even then I had to focus on, and I think I put that in the book, I had to focus on my other qualities. All right. I was handsome by God's grace. That's what they used to tell me anyway. You know what I'm saying? I was funny. You know what I'm saying? I was smart. I never played organized football in high school. I did play 2 different sports in rec. I'm not going to say I was the most athletic person, but again, I did play, football in the yard and all this and all that and running and stuff. And I could swim. We grew up like we was fish. We stayed in the swimming pool and all that. So I would lean more support on those qualities, but still face those realities. Like, I still do plan to get dental work. I don't know if I'm going to go with veneers. I don't know if I'm going to go with braces. I haven't decided yet. So why? I know my platform will extend, and God will put me on bigger platforms. And like I know, it's from journaling and trauma and all, it is still it is a thing. It's still there. Like, so for anybody out there with crooked teeth, jack teeth, buck teeth, whatever the case may be. You know, by God's grace, we got hope with these different technologies and financing. But I know when I was doing some of my own healing or journaling, when I write it, there's a response in my being. So I'm like, oh, that's still right there. When I go speak to people now, I go to networking events. Some people look me dead in my eyes, but a lot of people, I still catch them looking down, look up, look down, look up, look down, look up. And I'm cool with that because I know the value. I know that my value is not in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? My value is not in the cosmetic appearance of my teeth. But that don't mean that I won't fix it, and it doesn't mean that I don't want to fix it. So I did want to share that, and thank you for being so openly honest and transparent about that, because, man, that's a very personal one with a lot of people, man.
Yeah, as you talked about it, I was just thinking about when you said you had to think about other qualities. And I think for me, it was that I was funny. And then at some point, you know, I knew that I could sing, and I don't think I used that for anything, but it was something that I enjoyed doing. So I enjoy doing it even to this day. And so, but I can remember when one person in particular heard me sing, and what they said to me was, "Wow, I can't believe that you sound like this. I wish you could sing all the time."
Wow. You know, I'm gonna have to hear you sing now. You know, I'm gonna have to hear
because people would okay, what I'll say is now when people see me, I'm always in front of people. I'm always teaching or speaking or encouraging. And so people think that I have always done that. So they don't know. And so I have to say to them, oh, wait a minute, just because you see me doing this doesn't mean that I'm not nervous. It just means that I know what I come to do and I have to do it. I haven't always been able to stand in front of people and say anything because I didn't want to talk, because people would say things about the way I talk, or they would say that I talk slow or I talk proper, or, you know, I didn't talk like I was black or whatever. So I didn't want to talk at all. So for me to actually be in front of people talking at any given moment in my life, that's a surprise to me, although it's not to other people. So that's an example that you just sometimes have to focus on other things. And then the more that you don't give what other people say about you more focus than what you say about yourself, you can go ahead and move forward. So I could definitely relate to that one and a lot of other things that you point out in your book. But what we're going to do is I want to take a moment to go to a break, and then I'm going to drop our link, our guest link, to see if there's anybody out there that wants to come on and ask you a question, or me a question, or both of us a question, or just talk about something that they have gleaned from what we're talking about today. So we're going to go to a commercial break real quick, and then we're going to be right back. So all of you out there that are listening and doing Dr. Whitty today, we just want to thank Marquise for coming in and just sharing all those nuggets that he shared with us. But we're going to take a break real quick, and we're going to be right back, and we're going to go see if anybody wants to come up and talk to us a little bit before we continue the conversation. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Presented by Dr. Timothy Felton and Teron Coleman, Black Boys Matter explore the vital role of parental presence in raising Black sons. As Black boys navigate persistent obstacles and challenges, fostering authentic, trusting, and nurturing relationships through positive engagement becomes crucial. Each chapter of this profound manuscript leaves readers with greater understanding and deliberate techniques for addressing the issues these young men face. Get your copy where Dr. Candicia Randolph's book, The Black American Church, Leadership, Dispensation, and Challenges, critically examines leadership within the Black church, drawing from historical and anthropological perspectives. It identifies challenges faced by this vital institution in the Black American community and proposes practical solutions. The church's impact on Black culture and leadership is explored, emphasizing its historical context and influence over nearly 5 centuries. Through research and data, the manuscript aims to enhance the church's effectiveness and cultural relevance. Get your copy where books are sold today. Unlock a happier, more fulfilling life with planned maturity for teens. Are your teens struggling with low self-esteem, feeling lost, or seeking practical advice to navigate their teenage years? Then look no further. Planned Maturity for Teens is more than just another self-help book. It's a comprehensive roadmap to a brighter future. This book offers insightful guidance and tools teenagers need to develop a positive mindset. Its practical advice and clear strategies helps teenagers build self-confidence and overcome adolescent challenges. The author draws on years of experience working with young people to provide real-life lessons and relatable and actionable advice. From reading this book, your teen will gain a healthier self-image and techniques to cultivate and maintain self-esteem. They'll receive guidance on discovering and aligning with their values, and also envision a pathway to success. A clear and concise roadmap to personal growth and fulfillment. The author Marquise Trent brings his extensive experience to the table, offering teens the support they need to thrive. Planned Maturity for Teens is the ultimate guide to helping your teen build a happier, more confident, and successful life. Get your copy today and help your teen embark on a journey to planned maturity.
All right, so we are back with our guest host, Marquise Trent. We're talking about planned maturity, and we hope that each of the listeners and viewers that are out there are getting some good information about planned maturity. And we hope that you'll reach out to Marquise to grab that shirt that he's got on about thinking different, and that you'll also avail yourself to planned maturity. It's an awesome book for you, as well as if you are raising 18 or more than one. So what we are going to do, there is the link on the screen. It's also dropped in the YouTube chat. Listeners and viewers, if you're out there, you have a comment about our show today, take advantage of that link. We can pull you up on stage and we'll take your question or your comment. And we just hope that you joining in has added something of value to your life. So moving forward, tell us, Marquise, what are some of the most important themes about this book?
Man, some of the most important things about planned maturity, some of the most important things are self-image. So understanding what the self-image is, and that's identity. Like, how do you really see yourself? You know, growing up again, having crooked teeth and all that, having to navigate around that. Because again, like, that's not the end all be all, but it's a major thing. When you talking, when you speaking, people see that. So of course it puts a little dent on your self-image, because it's like you begin to internalize, oh, I got crooked teeth. I'm the boy with the crooked teeth. But then now everybody may not be quote unquote as blessed, because we all have different looks, and I'm not here to say. So okay, that's one of those things, and I talk about that in the book. I was very careful. Within reason, we all know societally if somebody is a beautiful. Like, if you see a beautiful woman, we can all say, hey, she's beautiful, period. Oh, he's a handsome young man. Like, he looks good. Like, we all know that. Now, in between all the other numbers and all that, of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or there's somebody for everyone, you know. So I'm not here to try to, you know, that's kind of one of those things. You got to use wisdom when you're talking about people's looks, you know, especially in school. But, you know, that's one of those things like, oh, everybody get a trophy when you win. Life ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be real enough, with people, but of course being mindful of their fitness. So I did talk about that in the book, but again, saying, hey, I matter. Like there's a part in the book where I just told them straight up, I love you. I don't care what you think. I'm telling you I love you. I'm telling them that you do matter. Your life matters. Okay. And I went so far as to line out a couple reasons as to why their life matters. So one of the main things is, one, giving a child a sense of belonging, even existence, especially in a world where they unalive themselves, often letting them know, bro, look, your life matter, man. You might not have all the clothes you want right now. So while writing the book, I was still waving and seesawing as to who I'm talking about. Am I talking to a child in the hood or impoverished neighborhood? Am I talking to a child, that's more affluent? Am I talking to a child that's lower middle class? Like in the book, I'm still kind of hitting all of those points when I'm speaking to the children. So one, letting them know that they do matter. You don't have to unalive yourself. You might not have all the clothes you want this school year. You might not, be the freshest. You might not be the flyest right now. But that does not determine your actual value. You have value because you are created and you were made, first and foremost. Second of all, you really do matter. People might not tell you that. Looking at social media and stuff that go on YouTube, it may not seem like, but I want to communicate that to you. One thing that you said earlier, you were talking to one of your relatives, and this is also a reason why I do encourage parents to get the book, because, and you shared this with me also, but I know that you see the value. People say, well, this is what I tell them, this is what I tell them, this is what I tell them. Well, one, you don't tell, I'm almost certain you don't tell them everything that's in the book. I'm almost 100% certain you don't tell them everything that's in the book. Secondarily, you're you. And because you're you, they see your flaws. There's a saying that familiarity breeds contempt. So just because they see you and know you, like my children know I poured into them. They seen dad when he's bad, or dad, your feet ashy. If I done got out the tub or the shower and I ain't put on no lotion, the children gonna crack jokes. Dad, your feet ashy. Ha ha ha. They see all of those, but although they see it, they don't see the impact that dad has on a global scale, on a large scale. The people that hang on to every word that I say, all glory to God. I'm not trying to be prideful or ego. I'm just painting a picture for people. So when you realize your child listens to you to a degree, and that those villages that people always talk about, you might say the same thing, but as soon as they hear Uncle Marquise say it, you might say the same thing, but as soon as they hear Eric Thomas say it, you might say the same thing, but if they hear it from an outside source, that may be the time that, it takes root. So as a parent, I encourage you, put your ego aside to say, hey, let me investigate other options. I was just talking to the wife the other day. I'm like, babe, let's look into some other options for people that really do training, mental training and psychology for children on keeping their room clean, because we don't know all of the tactics. We don't know all of the strategies. We know what we know and what we've experienced. But if you humble yourself and say, let me go get an outside source or resource to implement new strategies. All right, Dr. Whitty's a transformation coach. Hey, doctor, you got a few strategies that might can help me with this, that, and that, instead of trying to do it all your own. So to recap, self-image, them understanding what the subconscious mind is and actually doing affirmations, building their confidence up. You understanding that they are valuable. The power of the respect that they should show to parents and show respect to the teachers in the school, even if they hate going to school and they hate, there's still a reason that they should respect. Those will be some of the main reasons that I say they should get the book, because you're talking about the core, the programming of their being at hand.
I'm glad you mentioned respect, because that's so, it seems to be so long gone in a lot of the youth today, but not just youth, but also adults. And so I really, I want you to think about it for a second before you respond, but I really want you to talk a little bit more about the respect piece that's in the book. But before you do, I just want to go back to what you were saying about how you have to look at yourself, because as you were talking about how we say somebody is beautiful and we use the other term, what somebody may look like. And I started laughing because I was just thinking about a long time ago when there was a comedian that was talking about that, and she said, you know, she said, you beautiful, you pretty, and she looked at somebody else and said, you gotta love yourself. and she and and she was basically saying that that person
Yeah.
was ugly, and I just thought it was the most hilarious thing. But even as I think about that, you really do have to love yourself. You gotta
Yep.
love yourself, because if you don't, there will be people that will try to tell you what you look like,
Mm-hmm.
how you should act, what you can do, what you can't do. They'll try to determine your worth for you. So you, as a human being, have to know, um, this is me. This is who I want to be. This is who I'm working to
Yeah.
become. And
Yes.
then you have to have those parameters. You have to surround yourself with people that are aligned with who you know. I'm not going to say believe.
Mhm.
Know who you got to align yourself with, those people that, with people who align with who you know you are and who you know you can be and become. Because what we do a lot of times is we surround ourselves with people who tell us stuff like, oh, yeah, I tried that, it didn't work. Oh, you dreaming again, huh? Oh, we'll see. And it's just, it's crazy because I seen a picture, the most fascinating picture. There was a picture of a graduate who was graduating, and the image said, one side said congratulations, and the other side said support. Well, the side that said support had only one person sitting there,
Mm.
but the side that had congratulations was, the stands were packed. And so what that says is there's a lot of people that'll be there after you
Yep.
become and after you make it, to say, oh, I knew they could do it. Oh, this, hoorah, hoorah.
Straight
But
up.
there's only few people that's going to be sitting there that's actually supporting you, that's actually being the scaffolding, if you will, as the building is being erected. And so you have to know who you are, know who you are trying to become, and you have to know that I'm only going to entertain those that are going to align with what I think about myself and what my capabilities are. Because if you don't, you'll start to believe things that other people say about you, and you'll make that become your reality. And then, as you said, that's where we have a lot of people unlifing themselves,
Yeah.
because they believe so much in what somebody else thought about them or didn't think about them, but they didn't see the value that they brought to the table because they surrounded themselves with the wrong influence. So,
Man.
and this is why I think Plan Maturity is such an awesome book, and I hope you do get it into schools.
Thank you. Thank you. Working on that for
So,
sure.
and I guess what I want to do is, and we can talk about it later, but as I go to have different opportunities, I would also like to add that to my table, if you will.
Oh, praise
So,
God.
but
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about respect.
Man, you know, respect is such an interesting concept. It's such an interesting concept because we all desire it to varying degrees. As humans, you got Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, food, clothing, shelter, sex, the whole nine. Then as you go up the pyramid, you get self-actualization and all that type of stuff. As a child, I mean, understanding spirit, soul, and body. I talk about that in the book. Think about a child, even 2-year-olds, 1-year-old, whatever. When they get their toy and somebody else, that's mine. They taking that, and the other one snatch it back. So they might not understand or have the word or the verbiage to respect, but they have a knowingness to the concept. So there are certain concepts that are just in the ethos of creation. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, don't treat me like that. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So one, respect starts in the household. But I said it matters in varying degrees because in the urban street culture, respect is everything. So this is one of the reasons why when you start looking at the demographics and the psychographics that you're dealing with, what's important to them. People say, well, why these young people killing each other like that? As I mull over this concept and this idea and this conversation, of course, thinking in the book Overstanding and thinking about other conversations that I'll be having soon, excuse me. It comes down to respect. But respect is closely, how would I say this? I don't want to say related to, but respect and pride, they kind of live in the same house. They kind of live in the same house. Y'all follow me? I'm really going somewhere with all of this. So when you think about respect in the urban street culture, respect in the streets and in the urban culture is associated with safety. All right. It's associated with longevity of life. All right. So in the streets and in the hood and in the urban culture like that, respect is everything. Why? Because if somebody disrespect you, then that's a sign of weakness to other people that they can have the potential to go disrespect you, take something from you. So when it comes to respect, that's an extreme level. All right. Because it's like, bro, if you don't respect me, I'm a unalive you out here, bro. Like you will leave. Like you will leave. Like that's how tense it can be. So some of those students take that mentality into the schools. All right. Man, I don't care who you is, teacher, whoever. I'm mother effing such and such. All right. Now you like this is a 15-year-old kid. Why he tripping? Well, what environment is he coming out of? Now I'm not justifying his actions, but listen, let me paint this picture. He coming from a situation where he might be putting people in the ground. Like I know, that's a real thing. These teenagers got bodies. All right. If a person is we'll use the term head buster. If a person is a head buster, depending on who and how, they carry a certain pride with themselves anyway. Like, why? Because they already know in their self-image, that's who they are, that's who they've become. They're going to take it to the farthest extent of human experience. When it comes to the highest levels of human experience, you got birth and you got death. All right. So if praise God, women get real women, give birth to babies. All right. And you got people that take people out the game. All right. They do it once, they do it twice, they do it 3, 4, 5, 10. They carry a certain pride and a certain arrogance with themselves because they know in themselves they're going to take it to the highest level. So when you literally have students that go to school that put hands on people, that steal cars, that put people in the ground, that sell drugs, that make money, you got to treat them a certain way to gain their respect. You got to talk to them a certain way. Why? Because they respect violence. They respect, as they say, slang and I, they respect gunplay. So from my experiences and knowing these people being around, the respect, and teachers might, and some teachers might say, well, I don't care about that. I'm a teacher. They should respect me. But one, understanding what school system you're working in and who you're dealing with, every situation is different. So I'm going to bring it back. This is the extreme level. Then I'm going to come to less extreme. Excuse me. So if you're dealing with somebody who's used to being around violence, used to yelling, used to cussing, used to dysfunction, used to toxicity, one of the main things, and it might be a little difficult, is tactfulness and love, like extreme love. Why? Because I'm used to people cussing, I'm used to people fussing, I'm used to people looking at me sideways, I'm used to all of the animosity. I'm not really used to real, genuine, pure love. Can it be difficult? Yeah, depending on how they come. They might be high, their family member might have died, any type of situations, you know what I'm saying, might be going on, uncle incarcerated, mama got beat. We don't know. Children deal with a lot. So respect when it comes to that type of person, hey, seeing where you can find common ground. Don't try to be fake cool because they're going to see, man, bro, in the way. Sister in the night. Man, go ahead, man. I'm going over here. So that's one thing. So when it comes to leadership in the school, one, I would encourage teachers to read John Maxwell books and grow as leaders. One, I salute all teachers. Like, I salute teachers, and no way I'm looking to disrespect. But I'm just saying from a, you know, ultimately you're leaders of your classroom. So growing from one of the utmost, the expert in leadership globally, I would say begin to continuously grow in your development, because this is human psychology and all of these types of things. All right, swing on over to, you know, other students. Like, why do students feel it's okay to hit teachers? Well, one, there's been disconnects in the generation. I'm an 80s baby, grew up in the 90s and so forth and so on. Like, went to high school, graduated in 2003. You know, that's just not how we operated. So that's what I was getting ready to say. It starts at the house. So if you got a single mom, it's some fantastic single moms out here that just do great. Children doing great, house great, getting money, whatever, whatever. You best believe she worked on herself to get there. It ain't just fall out the sky. But then you got to look at the single moms who, unfortunately, is very toxic, doesn't have a good support system, don't care about herself. So now we going back to everything I'm saying in the book, like you said about the adults. Mama got low self-esteem. Mama got low self-image, low self-worth. She thinks the value is in her vagina, and, you know, scheming the system, finessing and all that type of stuff, where generally, unfortunately, she's going to produce a certain type of child. She's going to produce a certain type of child. And that child is going to take that toxicity into the school environment, all right, and begin to create problems, all right? So when it comes to trying to communicate to a child why they should respect you, one, again, finding those common grounds. So we can tell a child, you should respect me, you should respect me, you should respect me. Well, in the, I think it's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I got it on my phone. You got levels of leadership where people respect the rank just because you got the rank, but that's it. They ain't follow you no farther. Then people begin to respect you for what you're truly bringing to the table, and they can see this is a person of value that I should follow and honor. All right. So looking at your psychographic and your demographic in the school to see how can I best relate to the child in a way that I can develop the know, like, and trust factor while still maintaining enough integrity to be in the position that I'm in. So you're speaking to them, not trying to be friends as much as you're developing a relationship, but then you're saying, hey, but I'm still the authority figure. Hey, we're not going to have this type of behavior in here, man. This is my classroom. You have a mom, you have a grandma, you got an uncle, you wouldn't want nobody. If somebody, one of these students in here disrespect your mama, you're going to want to shoot the one with them. You're going to want to catch a fade. So then using real concept, you can't come and fight no student and here that disrespect your mom, but you ain't here disrespecting me. You know, sometimes giving them those conscious interrupts of concepts and thoughts to just mull over. And sometimes they might still go off. But later on, they might be thinking about that, like, dang, man, DrWhitty was right. Dang, bro, Marquise was right. Dang, man, Miss Johnson was right. So that's one thing that I've learned. I'm about to digress. Those are some of the things that I've learned, is that walk it out. give the concepts, walk in love, be gracious, be patient, but also be firm. Also, keep your word. I've struggled with that when it comes to me with my children at times, because I don't want to be the strict dad, you know what I'm saying? But I still have to set foundations and boundaries to say, hey, y'all, we're not operating like this. So those are the things that I would say, when it comes to respect. And in the book, I tell them why they should respect. I use those, you don't want about disrespecting your mama. You ready to put hands on somebody for disrespecting your mama. You ready, draw down on people for saying something about your grandma. So how is it even remotely possible that you can do that to a teacher at school? Because that's somebody else's mama. That's somebody else's grandma. That's somebody else's sister. Oh, you want to be fake? Because now you're being fake. Now you're being hypocritical. So you lying? Like, how you moving? So there's levels of reverse psychology where you using the same codes that they follow to present to them. Like, oh, you gonna disrespect the teacher, but you don't want to disrespect your mama. Like, that ain't solid, bro. That ain't real. Like, how you moving? That's fugazi. That's flawed. You move, you flawed. That's flawed. What's up? Those are the things that I would share.
See, that's why I wanted you to comment on respect and folks. That's why I like planned maturity, because I hadn't read the book, but I'm one of those people that once I have a certain inkling or a thought about something, a lot of times I'm correct about it. And I just felt when I saw that book, nobody had to tell me what was in it, but it just immediately spoke to me, and I said, I've got to have that book. I got to get him on the show. And when I read it, like I said, everything that I was talking about in the short amount of time that I had one of my relatives with me, every single thing that I talked about was in your book. And I just want to say, it was something you said, hopefully it'll come back to me, but I'm going to say that when you talked about you and your wife, and you said something about availing yourself to other resources, I wanted to encourage people, because I think this was an issue in my situation. I want to encourage people that because you are seeking an additional available resource, it doesn't mean that it takes anything away from you as a parent. And you have to understand that, and you have to be mature, because some of, and I'm mentioning that because, these are things that I had to say, like, hey, listen, this is about guidance. It's not about trying to raise you better or do anything better than your natural parent. It's just, hey, your natural parent did a fantastic job with you. But right now, it's not about raising, it's about guiding. And so when you said, hey, we don't have all the strategies, we don't have all the techniques. And that's what people have to realize. As taking advantage of other resources does not mean you failed. It doesn't mean you're weak. In fact, it means just the opposite, because you understand that I might not have all the answers, but I know that there are other available resources that I can tap into. And I know in my particular situation, as you mentioned, I believe that from my experience, that's kind of what it was, how you talked about living in constant toxicity, right? And you're used to the foul language, used to the anger, used to, just being in an environment that's not conducive to you being the best version of yourself. And I know that, this particular person, and I had this conversation with somebody else in my family, that there was that just me showing that love and me not being toxic and me not yelling and not cursing and being respectful and just being very patient. That was a struggle because that person was used to being on guard, used to being on the attack. But what I did was, by my reaction, I disarmed that part of them. And so they did not know how to react. And so I know that that was a frustration. And so I was, I tried to be very patient. I'm not going to say I was perfect, but I did try. So I wanted to point that out, because if you are a parent and you have teenagers, or just dealing with people in general, you have to realize that just because you are asking another person's perspective or whatever, or you're using an additional resource, it doesn't take away from your ability. It just means that you recognize that you don't have all the answers. You're not omniscient. You don't have it all. So that's why they have different people for a reason. And I just wanted to real quick go to a quote that I highlighted in your book. It says, "You won't succeed every time because you are building a new habit, and building new habits takes time. And if you fail, don't beat yourself up. That doesn't help." I highlighted that because I think it's important that whatever we attempt to do, whatever we try, we have to recognize that we may not succeed the first time, but that doesn't mean that we failed at it. Just don't, as you said, don't focus on that so much. Just get yourself back up and say, you know what, I failed that time, I'm going to try again. Just like when you was a kid and you learned how to walk. You kept falling, but you were so determined that even though you kept falling down, you was going to get up until you could stand on those 2 feet and walk across that floor yourself. And that's the same thing we got to look at. So I just want to thank you for everything that you just shared. And real quick, I just got 2 more points that I want you to comment on, and then we're going to go ahead and close it out.
No problem.
What was it? I want to make sure I got it. So what I want you to comment on real quick is I want you to explain one thing that you hope parents and teens glean from reading your book. That's one. And then the last point is I want you to consider if planned maturity could be adapted into another format, for example, film or television, how would you envision it?
Man, that's good. One, I iterated some of those things earlier. I want the teens to take away that they are valuable, and that, man, thank you, Lord. The book cover. I want them to take away the book cover. Let's look at this book cover real quick, y'all. If y'all can see that up there. The book cover was extremely strategic. Glory to God. Again, the book cover, Planned Maturity for Teens, the book adults wish they had when they were your age. If you look at it, it's a cosmic clock. I want y'all to know how strategic I am when it comes to creating. This was extremely, this is a cosmic life clock. That's what it is. All right. It's like a clock in the cosmos, in the universe, a spiritual clock. And at the top, it says 12, birth. So you're born. Each year, like a clock, these are years. That's what it represents. So 5 years old, 10 years old. At 15, you need to be really considering your future. That's what I put on there. 20, 25, 30, you want to truly be enjoying life on your terms. You don't want to be stuck at a dead-end job you hate and all. So that's what this is. It's a clock. 45, you continue building your legacy. Meaning between 30 and 40, you already established. I'm talking about high credit score, great revenue sources, life insurance, health insurance, emergency fund. I'm talking about how life should be lived. Got some land, got 1 house, 2 houses, your car's paid for, or you're paying on stuff, your family taken care of, like truly building a legacy. And not just what you can do for you and your family. Do you have a foundation? Are you speaking to young people? Are you serving in your community? Like, life is to be lived, poured out. Yes, go get you some money. Go get rich. I believe in getting rich now. I don't even play the game. Not just so we can have fun, because I got a large family and I'm going to take care of me and mine, but I enjoy giving. I enjoy serving. I enjoy being the hands and feet of God out in the marketplace. Just telling somebody, I'm going to pray for you. I mean, prayer is great. Don't you ever get it twisted. But don't just pray when you can pray and pay. Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? What's going on, brother? I ain't seen you. Yeah, my car broke, bro. They say I need another engine. It's $2,500. Send me the people number, bro. I got you. Right then and there. Just showing the love of God. It don't matter if he's a grown man and he can pay. I got it, bro. Like, I got it. Like, why not? So that was what this book cover was about. So I want a teenager to get into the mindset of, hey, yeah, I'm 15, but you ain't got forever. When we was coming up, you always heard the older folks say, oh, you got time. Oh, you got time. Oh, you got time. Man, let me tell you something. First and foremost, time has been sped up. Even though the clock say 24 hours, we don't have a full 24 hours, and everybody know that. Yeah, the clock says 24, but we all can sense we don't get a whole 24 hours. All right, we already in August, bro. We just did Happy New Year, and we already in August, you know. So one, get rid of the concept of I got all the time in the world. Because the quicker you learn and work on things that matter most, the more you can enjoy it. That's why I said the book adults wish they had when you were your age. If I could go back to when I joined the Army, I would have been a better soldier. I was a good soldier overall, but I was a knucklehead. I was fresh off the streets, fresh off the block, and I just always wanted to do what I want. See? Always just doing what you want to do. But if I can go back, and that's a hanky popper for sure. I like that. All right, I might make that a t-shirt. Amen. But look, real talk though. If I could go back and, you know, take more schooling in the military, you know, start working on stuff, you know, better myself, get serious about life, get more insurance, start a savings account, you know, get some information on health insurance and life insurance, like truly live an official adult life at the highest levels, educate myself, not spend so much time partying in the club, getting drunk, smoking weed, you know what I'm saying, and just wasting money on so much. Where would I be? So people are like, oh, bro, that's a boring life. Don't nobody want to live that. I ain't say live a boring life, but I'm going to tell you this. Success has a price tag. I don't care what you think. Success has a price tag. And if you want it, you got to pay for it. So the earlier you pay the success price tag, the more that you can enjoy those things. And God is giving you gifts. If you don't use them, you're wasting them. All right. So you 15, you know how to use YouTube? Make a YouTube channel adding value. Make you some money. Sell you some shirts. Do some consulting. I'm going to get one of my sons now. One of my sons is cut up like Bruce Lee. He is. I'm about to tell him, I was thinking about this too, so now I'm sharing with y'all. This is how real it is. I'm going to say, son, I want you to start training people. Why wouldn't you? Let's put your business together right now, and you do personal training classes. He played football. He's in shape. Like I said, he really looked like Bruce Leroy. He cut up. So it's like, well, I want to go work a job. I'm not against working a job. Go work a job. You want to feel that. But let me show you this. Let's put together a consulting package. Let's put together some packages. And you train some guys that may not be as in shape as you are. $25 a session. We ain't gonna play no small money. $25 a session. You know, buy 4 sessions for $75. Man, that boy start getting them 75. It's over. He gonna be like, oh, stop that. He gonna feel like he rich, and he was able to earn that money. So the things that's the value that I'm talking about in plan maturity, where a child sees themselves differently. Not just because mama said it, they can see some real concepts. Like I said, ain't no imagination in here. I expose myself in here. So they can say, man, this dude really talking to me. All right. And the same go for the parents to chime in on what DrWhitty said. You're not less than because you choose to get help. One thing they told me as a veteran, the strong veterans go get the help so they don't unalive themselves. The strong veterans open up and share, bro, I'm going through it, bro. Like, I've been drinking too much. Thinking about cheating on my wife. I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about, come on, bro, let's talk about that, man. Let's pray about that, man. Let's get some help. So the strong one reach out for help. And secondarily, if plan maturity could be made into something else, I would love it to be like a series. You know, I think a dope series that shows different levels. Y'all don't try to go. If you try to get my idea, God will strike you down, whoever you is. And I'm serious. But look, I would make it a series, all right, where I'm showing different levels of different age groups and different demographics and psychographics of a child's life. So again, you might have a child that's coming up around wealth, so they got money, all right, but maybe their parents so busy they don't really get to spend a lot of time with them. So now they battling between being, you know, the rich kid that's, you know, spoiled and, you know, all snobby. Even in a school full of rich kids, you ain't got to be snobbish and snooty acting. You know what I'm saying? So you can have plan maturity, how it applies to them. Then you can have somebody in the heart of the gut, you know what I'm saying, trying to make it, trying to survive. Then you can have a child that's more like neutral in the middle a little bit. Like they might not live in the streets, they live in the what they call the county or the suburbs, but it's real wild. Like these suburbs ain't the way they used to be unless you're going real far out. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do, like a cool series where you can see the lives of these children and maybe either from myself or an outside source, they're getting the concepts of plan maturity and they put them into action to see if they work, and we can see that it's working in their life real time.
All right. I definitely see that coming to pass. I was just thinking. I hope to see it as a conference, a workshop.
Without question.
One day. So I just want to thank you, and I want to say shout out to I don't know if he's still watching, but when you talked about teachers, shout out to Tyree. He is or was watching the episode, and he just started. He's a teacher. He actually did today was his first day, and he came and he shared some information with me. So I'm glad that you talked about the respect for teachers and just said a couple of things about teachers. So I hope that he heard you talk about that part. If he hadn't, I'm gonna tell him, hey, go back and watch it. All right. So thank you for doing that. And you also talked about one of my favorite authors, John Maxwell. I'm telling you, if you're listening, excuse me, if you're listening or viewing, and you want to read some books that give you a lot of nuggets, and the books are simple and you can apply those principles to your life. John Maxwell, by far, I think I have more of his books probably than anybody else.
Wow.
I'm still working on myself, so don't try to take that as me saying I'm perfect. No, the reason why I was led to his books is because I need to work on myself. But I had to share that story of how I was led to his books. I didn't have no money and had to call somebody and tell them, hey, I need to get these books because this is what God said. I need to get these books, and I got them. And I knew exactly why I needed them when I opened up and read them. So, but like I said, that's another story. So, thank you for everything that you talked about. You are proof that somebody said that I only talk to doctors. I said no, I don't. So I hope that they have watched the show and realized that no, I don't just talk to doctors. The platform is not just for doctors. In fact, I want to get different people from all aspects of life with different backgrounds, different vocations, and to just talk about life and how we can better ourselves. Oh, there he is. So he was watching. See, he put the heart sign up. So he was watching. So shout out to Tyree. All right.
Can I say something, Doctor?
Go ahead.
This the funniest thing, and I'm not saying this in any way to glorify myself, but I did want to say it because I believe it's important to signal for a person. Spend the time necessary to grow yourself. Like Dr. Whitty just said. He read the books because he know that he need to grow himself. So I ain't saying this to say, oh, look at me, but I've invested time in working on myself. Even though I don't have a doctorate, people have called me doctor. People said, bro, you Dr. Mark. I had a dude, I put it on Facebook. And long story short, I met a guy. I showed him 2 books. Glory to God. It's one thing to have one book. It's another thing to have multiple books that really look like something. And he was like, man, people need to put some respect on your name, Dr. Marquise Trent. And I was like, wow, man. I was humble. Like, I wasn't like, yeah, bro, you right. I was like, whoa, Lord, you faithful. Like, thank you. You know, on the inside. So I said that to say, if you do the work on yourself, y'all, just work on yourself. Don't be, you know, stuck where you have to. They go back to self-image and identity. Like, yeah, I gotta be like this. I gotta be a gangster. I gotta be a this. I gotta be a jock. I gotta be a. Be willing to be fluid and just grow. That's why it's called Plan Maturity, bring a message of maturity to millennials and their minds in the effort to create the perfect citizen. The only true perfection is in Christ. He was the only living, perfected being. But perfect means mature. The Dr. Whitty that used to be himself 10, 15, 20 years ain't the one you seeing now. When I met him, he wasn't doctor. So that's my point. Now he's obtained the title of doctor. All right. The Marquise you see now is not that wild dude from back in the day. I can promise you that. You know what I'm saying? So for a person to say doctor and call me doctor, it was an honor. And again, so I don't say that to take away from him or anybody that has done the work to obtain a real, what's required for a doctorate. But what I would say is I have put in the work and will continue to put in the work to grow and be the best Marquise that God has called me to be. So anybody listening, you go and be the best you that you can be for you first. All right. Then your children, then your spouse, then your, or whatever. And always unto God for those that are believers. Honor God by being the best you, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? Let's not miss that. He gave you your gifts. He gave you your talents. He made you. You know what I'm saying? The Bible says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. It's a true statement. All right. So honor God by being the best you that you can be for him, for yourself, if you're married, for your spouse, for your children, and for the world. Thank you.
All right. That is awesome. That is awesome. And I just want to close out with this because, like I said, John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors of all time. And he says some things that I tell you, it just stays with me. And I'm trying to get myself better, right? But he said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So it's all up here. What you think about yourself, that matters. We ought to hashtag that. What you think matters.
That's why if you think different, you're going to live different. What you
think matters. Because ultimately, what we think is what we do. So, yeah. So, Marquise Trent, thank you for hanging out with me on Dr. Whitty today. I pray that the conversation was as awesome for you as it is for me. All listeners and viewers out there, I hope that you took something for the conversation and won't make this the last broadcast that you listen to or view. So what I'm going to say real quick is, Marquise, tell everybody out there where they can find you outside of Dr. Whitty today.
Awesome. Thank you, T, Tyree King, Lisa King. They showing love in the chat. But I'm the Marquise Trent. If you just go to whatever platforms, Instagram, at the Marquise Trent. If you go to YouTube, the official Marquise Trent channel, please go subscribe to the channel. I got over 100 videos on there you can check out. You can go to www.marquisetrent.com. MARQUIS as in Sam, Trent.com. I am on Facebook, but on Facebook I'm Marquise Diamond. Do need to change that, but yeah, I had it for over 10 years, so I just kind of left it. But I'm gonna fix that. But yeah, Instagram, social, YouTube, the Marquise Trent is me on Instagram, and the official Marquise Trent channel on YouTube. And go to my website. The book is on there. If you go to MarquiseTrent.com. On the main page, you can order Overstanding, a comprehensive look at gangster rap, and you can go and add Plan Maturity to the cart. The t-shirts are available also. Think Different, Live Different are on the website as well. And just continue looking out. I'll be relaunching my podcast soon, the Plan Maturity Show, hosted by Marquise Trent. Where we'll have people like DrWhitty come on, other brothers and sisters that are empowering our people. I got some cool stuff, man. I don't want to drop it all, but I got some cool ideas that I'm going to be sharing. But by all means, if you were blessed, please consider support. Buy a book. Overstanding for yourself or your team, Plan Maturity for your team. Buy a couple copies and give somebody some, that you may know. Gift it to a child that you know. And one thing I did want to say, one thing that I'm learning when it comes to that, if the child doesn't read a lot, one of the things I'm telling the parent, incentivize them. Hey, look, you read this whole book. I'm actually planning a book report. At the time y'all hear this, I'm doing a book report contest. So look out for that soon, where it's going to be a big cash prize. But for now, just generally saying, just incentivize the child. You read that, I'll get you, you get $25 gift card, or you can go to the movies. Like, give them a reason for them to read it. But thank you so much, Dr. Whitty. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And for those that want to write and publish books, you can also see that on my website for book coaching. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. You heard it. And Plan Maturity, I'm telling you, get it. If you want to read, it's a good book for you to read for yourself, but it's also a good book if you are a parent raising teenagers. You got to have this book. And since he spoke about incentivizing, I'm going to do an incentive right now that I'm going to take the first 2 emails that come to my inbox at drwhitty@yahoo.com. If you email me and tell me, Dr. Whitty, I would really love to have this book, I will get you a book and I will mail it to you. Just include your address. And I'm going to do one even better. I'm going to ask Marquise to sign it for you. And then that way you'll have your copy of this book. So if you really want it, I'm going to take the first 2 emails that drop in my inbox. And that's what I'm going to send to Marquise to support his book, Plan Maturity. So this has been an awesome conversation. I hope that what we talked about helped. It was a blessing to your spirit, your mind, your body, your soul. We pray that your soul went to college and you learned tremendously today. So our next episode is coming up on September the 3rd. We're going to have Dr. Rory Richards, and we're going to be talking about coaching and mentoring. We're going to be talking about coaching the generations, because at any given time, we have about 5 to 6 generations working in our organizations, or we come in contact with each and every day. And so we want to talk about how we can connect, because a whole lot of people are doing a lot of talking, but very few are connected. And that's another one by John Maxwell. Everybody's got something to say, a point to make. Everybody wants to be heard, but nobody wants to do the work to make the connection so that we can be better versions of ourselves. So Mr. Marquise Trent, thank you once again for coming out, hanging with me on Dr. Whitty today. I want you to hang out so we can do the after show. And then, I'm just really thrilled right now. And I really hope everybody out there will watch this show, because I guarantee you didn't get everything that was talked about through this episode. So I, for one, I go back and I watch them and I always hear something different. So I encourage you guys to do the same. So next time, September the 3rd on Dr. Whitty Today. We love you guys. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on Dr. Whitty Today. We appreciate your time, and your viewership is the heartbeat of our show. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe. Your support keeps us going, and we can't wait to have you back. So hit the notification bell to find out each time we air live. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay tuned.